Would someone like to move? Glenn, David, that first report be received? I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. The meeting of the 9th of April. Oh, I see. That with the two of them were together, the 30th of March and the 9th of April. Move on to the 20th of April. And sorry, I was going to look for some change to the wording. So I'd like to, I want to move an amendment that is, I want to move something different to that. So if we can go to that, the council 6.1. So, I see, it's the board recommendation. So come down to the board recommendation. So 1.1 should read. So just add in a new paragraph at this stage, saying request the Mayor and the Chief Executive to meet with the Ministry of Education and the two schools in order to explore the range of options with respect to the sale of a portion of Queen Elizabeth II Park for the relocation. Prior to any discussions over the sale. So essentially the point is that Carleen and I would meet with the Ministry of Education and the two schools in order to look at what the options are, because there's been a bit of tension in the community around the location of the sporting centre, and so I kind of want to get my head around what the issues are, and I want to lift it right up to high level. No, I'm not going to have. I think that we're going to. I think that it's important that Carleen and I get a helicopter view of what's going on, but also what the options are. So I suddenly think, if the Ministry of Education wants some land from the council, they have land that the council might be interested in. For example, the New Brighton community have already said publicly they want the Roy Stokes Hall to remain in community ownership and use. And so there are a number of conversations that we could have. There are some primary school sites that have been vacated that would be very good sites for community housing or for affordable housing or for any form of housing. So again, we could be having some conversations with them around land swaps rather than simply looking at a financial return. And I know that it would be better to lift that right out of the organisation structure. So that's why I'm not keen to authorise staff to go down a unilateral discussion with the Ministry of Education before we've had that high-level conversation. And I know that Councillor East is going to ask that the councillors be involved in that process, but if the councillor is involved, then the community board's going to want to be involved, and then and I want to have that initial conversation without having anyone in a different. I want to be able to have a high level conversation to see what the options truly are before anything else has occurred. I've observed the process around Porritt Park. I'm not entirely happy with how that has occurred, and I don't want that to happen again with this. This is too good an opportunity not to get the right outcome. So I'm just trying to reconstruct this
Can I comment?
Yeah, in a minute, but I haven't got a seconder yet anyway. So, authorise staff. So I'm just thinking, okay, so put Vicky back, but I'm just thinking with 1.1.
Your request needs to come first.
Yeah, so that's right. So, so we'll make, yeah, and then, but basically, so it's 1.1, and then the Mayor and the Chief Executive can authorise staff to commence unilateral discussion. So we're not going to hold it up, but it means that after we have met and established what the possibilities are, then we authorise staff to commence those discussions. And I think the use of the word unilateral is just to refer to the fact that we don't have to deal with any other party. We don't have to go out into the market to see who else is in the market for QE2 Park. We're simply only interested in the Ministry of Education. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Right. Now, David.
Look, I'm happy with that course of action. I would just merely ask that could the two councillors in the area be briefed on the outcome of those discussions before we hand it over to staff.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. And in fact, at that point, it might be worthwhile to brief the staff, brief the two councillors for the ward and the community board. Yeah. So that, yeah. So if you would put before that, the Mayor and Chief Executive will brief. Should I just put the Burwood Pegasus Community Board because then it's inclusive? Yep. Prior to authorising staff, and that's fine. Yep. Yanni.
I'm happy with that, but I do think, I mean, Avonside Gills is from the Hagley Pyramid Ward, and I don't know if you're envisaging any discussion around any other land that's near the Hagley Pyramid Ward, but if so, we would obviously, as a board, like to also be involved.
Our intention is only to discuss land that's inside the Burwood Pegasus ward.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you. There might be one or two resolutions within the Burwood Pegasus board minutes record which you could take with you into the meeting. One, for instance, is that the entire board and along with the local Member of Parliament support retaining the Roy Stokes Hall and community ownership. So it's that kind of, that will add strength to any conversation. So we could get our board advisor to look those up if you like.
Yeah, but I did note that your community board also said that it was open to collaboration over the location between the schools and the Eastern Recreation and Sports Centre, but note strongly that it does not want to see the schools take preference over the site. So, I mean, all I'm saying is that, yes, we will take that on board, but I think it's really important that we have a bigger conversation about what's possible in terms of all of their land holdings. I understand that the community totally wants to have accessibility to the site, and location of the Eastern Sport and Rec is really, really important, and I want the Ministry of Education to understand that, but that it can't be a competition. It's got to be an integrated best outcome for the whole area.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say my colleague here and I are getting antsy. We want this to continue, and we also want to retain a good relationship with the ministry, which we felt was there at the meeting. So
yeah, and yeah. I mean the thing, the trouble is that a lot of nature abhors a vacuum. So if there's a vacuum of information, there's a whole stack of information that piles into it, informed and uninformed. Facebook has become the measure by which nature fills the vacuum, And there has been a lot of commentary around the length of the pool and various other things. It's a red herring. It's got nothing to do with anything that's holding things up. And I think by having the Mayor and the Chief Executive deal directly with the Ministry of Education, there will be no room for any misunderstanding about how urgent a priority this is for our community.
Yeah, I think this is a great outcome.
Great. Good. All right. So I shall put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Great. Thank you.